Hi, girls and boys. Well, for part of our art unit, I wanted to share a book with you about Leonardo da Vinci. The name of the book, or the title, is The Life and Work of Leonardo da Vinci. This is a nonfiction book, or not made up, and it's part of a series. A series is where all of the books have something in common and go together. It's from a series on famous artists throughout history. You can find it in our Covenant Day School library, and I hope one day you'll check it out for yourself. But today I'd like to go ahead and share it with you. The Life and Work of Leonardo da Vinci. Who was Leonardo da Vinci? Leonardo da Vinci was a great painter. He lived in Italy more than 500 years ago. Leonardo lived at a time when art was becoming important. Leonardo was also a sculptor, a poet, and an inventor. He loved nature and science. This helped him make his pictures look like real life. And if you look closely, you can see how he has studied people and their faces, and he's been able to make his drawing and painting look so realistic. In his early years, Leonardo was born on April 15, 1452. He was born in Vinci, Italy. The name Da Vinci means from Vinci. When Leonardo was young, his uncle Francesco taught him about the countryside. And there's an illustration of maybe young Leonardo sitting out in the countryside, taking really good notes and practicing drawing what different plants and animals look like. Leonardo never forgot the long walks in the hills with his uncle, and many years later, Leonardo could still paint all the plants he had seen. If you look closely in this, do you see the details he put into all of the flowers and trees? He was painting those from memory from when he had been out in the countryside. Life in Florence. In 1470, Leonardo went to live in Florence, a city in Italy. He learned to paint in the studio of Andrea del Verrocchio. Andrea was one of many great painters in Florence. And I want to share something fun with you. My family and I were able to go to Florence. This is a picture of the famous cathedral that you can see. See that domed building with the rounded top? That's a picture of that building from the ground. And here's a picture of the city of Venice when we were there. Does that look like the same place still? It hasn't changed a lot. Leonardo painted the angel on the left in this painting by Andrea. Andrea thought the angel was the best part of the painting. So Andrea painted this, and then Leonardo added the angel, and that was Leonardo's favorite part. That was his teacher. Leonardo finished his studies soon after painting the angel. He could have set up his own studio. Instead, he stayed in Andrea's house. So he was painting pictures of people and practicing and getting better. He was becoming a master. In 1474, Leonardo painted this portrait of a young woman. The dark trees behind her face make her skin look bright. Isn't that neat how he used that technique to make her really stand out? On his own, Leonardo was 25 years old when he began working for himself. He had learned so much from Andrea. He had also met many important people. This painting shows us how Leonardo worked. The colors are all shades of brown. Leonardo would add the brighter colors later. That's pretty cool. So he would do all that first, and then he would go back in and add all the different colors he wanted on top. On to Milan. In 1482, Leonardo went to work for the ruler of Milan, Italy. Leonardo lived there with a family of artists named Preda. Leonardo and the Preda family worked on this painting of Mary and the infant Jesus. Can you see the mixture of light and dark? That was the work of Leonardo. Do you remember the portrait of the woman a few pages ago? How he uses light and dark to really make things pop? Special skills. Leonardo studied different subjects in Milan. He studied the human body. He studied how water moved. Leonardo also designed many things like this helicopter. You can still see many of Leonardo's designs. This sketch shows how Leonardo planned to make changes to the dome of the great cathedral in Milan. So that's how he was planning to add to it and make it even cooler. The Last Supper. In 1495, Leonardo began a huge mural. A mural is a gigantic painting. It was of Christ's Last Supper. In the painting, Leonardo wanted to show what people were thinking and how they looked. The Last Supper shows Christ and his 12 apostles. Leonardo's painting looks like a real supper. It shows all of the men talking and listening. So they weren't just sitting there, blah, blah, blah. They were sitting there moving and talking and really interacting. It was a really realistic way to show how the supper might have been. Florence. In 1499, Milan was attacked by the French. Leonardo escaped and went back to Florence. He met many other artists there. Other artists liked Leonardo's work. He could show gentle movements and feelings. This cartoon shows the Virgin Mary with her mother and the infant Jesus. Look at that, how he drew it so realistically. It feels like you could touch them. New ideas. In 1502, Leonardo had a chance to show his other skills. He became the main military engineer in central Italy. Leonardo drew plans for weapons, fortresses, and bridges. This sketch of putting up a fortress wall is from a book of his drawings called Codex Atlanticus. And when we were on our trip, we got to go to a Leonardo da Vinci museum, and we got to see some of these things. Like, do you see this one right here of a tank? An old-fashioned tank, and then here was an example of it in the museum. So you could take a look inside and see what it might have been like to sit in that tank. We got to see some of his inventions, and you could touch them and play with them and see how they worked. Here's a cannon gun that shoots out 8 different cannonballs at one time. That was one of his designs. And you could go explore all different ways of tools that he made and science experiments and machines. He was an amazing inventor. Leonardo was very busy, but he still found time to work on a special portrait, The Secret Smile. The result was the Mona Lisa, one of the most famous paintings in the world. No one can be sure who this woman really was. Her smile has fascinated people for many years. She looks like she is keeping a secret. And there was a copy of the Mona Lisa at the museum we went to, and I tried my best to do a little Mona Lisa smile. Did I get close? Just a little hint of a smile, the secret smile. With king and pope. In 1507, Leonardo became the court painter to a French king in Milan. 7 years later, Leonardo moved to Rome, Italy. He was a guest of the Pope. Leonardo drew this sketch for a painting called Adoration of the Magi. So that was how he kind of did his rough draft, like we do with our writing sometimes. He would do a sketch or a drawing of what he was eventually going to paint, probably bigger. Leonardo's last pictures were religious. The hand of St. John the Baptist seems to come right out of this painting. Look how real and good that looks. That's incredible, isn't it? It really does look like his hand is just gonna pop right off the page. Last years in France. For the last 3 years of his life, Leonardo lived as the guest of another French king. This might be showing us exactly where he lived. He made many drawings in the king's house. Leonardo died in France on May 2nd, 1519. He was 67 years old, and here is a self-portrait that shows Leonardo as an old man. He had lost his teeth and much of his hair, but his eyes were still strong. So that's what he felt like he looked like. He did a self-portrait. We've done that before in kindergarten. He did all of that in 67 years. That was amazing. All kinds of artwork and sketches and paintings and sculptures and inventions and ideas. Aren't we glad we have a good record of all the things Leonardo da Vinci accomplished? Well, I hope you enjoyed this book, and you can find it and other books about Leonardo da Vinci at our school library. Hope you'll check them out. Thanks for listening.